Okay, let's start with the first part. What is an essay? Based on the Concise Oxford Dictionary, an essay is a literacy composition, usually prose and short for any subject. What it's for? Well, this reading composition gives or express one's personal ideas or opinions on a certain topic. In this part, you can argue, you can compare, you can define any topic. Okay, so it covers any writing composition, and it can express your personal opinions. You can also give extra information. You can argue something. You can discuss. You can provide how well arguments you have, and also it has a lot of details on it. As I was mentioned, it has several paragraphs based on the main objective. For example, in the introductory paragraph, it's going to contain the thesis statement. What are you going to develop during the whole body paragraph? This is the main point that you are going to write about. Then in the body paragraph, we have 3 or 2 paragraphs. In these paragraphs, you are going to write the topic sentence, which are the sub-points, the examples that you're going to provide. To support the ideas that you have, you can argue, you can compare anything. And the concluding paragraph is going to have the conclusion. After all the analysis that you have made, you are going to conclude with a very short but concrete idea about what you were talking about, the point that you were arguing, the point that you were comparing and analyzing. So in this part,
Continue with the presentation, please.
Okay, we will continue with the second part. Can you share the screen in order to explain in a deeper way what are the steps that we are going to follow to develop an essay? Meanwhile, as Alexandra mentioned, an essay was a structure and a plan that we have to develop an idea. It is mainly based on the FCM exam. In this case, we are going to see in the next part an example on an FC exam and the parts that you have to recognize in order to develop an essay on the exam. In this case, we have the steps that we're going to follow. The first step is planning. Planning refers to give you the ideas, to read all the text that you have, and to plan maybe where you are going to write at the first part. It might be to take into account the length, the word, the reference, or maybe the verbs that you have on the question in order to understand. The second step is thinking. In this case, you have to brainstorm maybe the initial ideas that you have about the topic, maybe the list of the words that you have. It could be like mind maps, list drawing, discussion, posits, or something like that. So with that, you would have to start to do an initial plan and a preliminary reading based on your ideas. The next step that we have is researching. Researching means to go back or have a feedback between the ideas that we have, the knowledge that we have about the topic, and to include some maybe examples or remember the structure that we know about the essay. Yeah, the structure is mainly learned by beginner, like introduction with the outline of the essay. We have the main section that is maybe the body part that we know. when you have to evidence the main points, the details, and the evidence to support the a preliminary idea that you have. Then we have the conclusion, that is the summary of the main points that you have on this. Then we continue with the writing. The writing will be like an outline based on the ideas that you have. It is only a draft, and then you continue with the next step, that is editing. You continue editing the draft until you know that all the ideas are included and you have used a correct language, try to review, try the idea that you have, or maybe it will be like, for example, you have to take into account maybe the supporting sentence that you have, the concluding sentence, the transitional sentence that you have. And when you are ready and you already check this maybe twice, you can continue with the other part of the FCE exam. Can you go to the next slide, please? In the next slide, we're going to recognize where we can find the main ideas or the main examples that we have on the FCE exam. In this case, in the first sentence, we can know that it introduced the topic, because, for example, in this case, it says, in your English can may have been talking about different projects of environment. Now your English teacher has to write you and say, it introduced the topic in a small paragraph. In the second sentence, you must have the instruction, for example, write an essay using all the notes. And in the next part, we have a box. In this box, you have the main topic to talk about. For example, it says to talk about recycling, using bicycles, and another idea. In the next slide, yeah, please. In the next slide, we have an example of a FCE essay. In this case, you have, for example, the topic that is very visual and summarize the ideas that we have, the main idea. It has a clear purpose and it has a well-defined structure, as we see, the introduction, the body paragraph, and the conclusion in the last part. It also includes connectors, or first, second, for example. It doesn't use contractions. You don't see any contraction. Maybe it is, that is a small, maybe mistake, but it's only one contraction in all the say. Also include useful expressions. For example, it includes the expressions that were given, and also include a lot of vocabulary, for example, contamination, pollution, the changes to destroyers, the reuse, recycle, that are mainly keywords that the writing must have based on the instructions that you have previously. So we are going to continue with some useful tips for this.
The next slide, please.
Yeah, also the steps that I mentioned before.
Okay, I am Odalis Cando. I will explain the tips of essay writing. First, the essay has a visually well-defined paragraph, which is very important. The second is the title summaries the theme of the essay. It is a recommend that title be short. The third tips is each paragraph has a very clear purpose. For example, in the introduction has introduced the topic in the general ways and leads to continue in the second paragraph. The second paragraph is a term idea 1. The paragraph number 3 is a term idea number 2. The paragraph number 4, a third idea 3, your own ideas. And the conclusion express our opinion as a conclusion and a summary. The next is a use connectors to be define the progressions of the text. For example, first, second, finally, etc. Okay, the tips number 5 is doesn't use made contraction on a will card words. The next slide, please. Okay, the tips number 6 is among the useful expression that we can help it and the following. For example, one of the things that in the last few decades, for these reasons, another first, second, third, finally be doing so, for example, and in conclusion. Thank you. The next, please.
To continue with this part, I would like to work with you in a practice. So in this part, I would like you that you could help me by ordering with some of the parts of this present essay. It will take a minute in order that you can that you could analyze the present essay, or well, the present past part of the essay, and then we're gonna to correct this part. So let's start, please.
Maybe Esteban, can you select maybe one of the words that you have, for example, linking word, title, introduction, and you have some points. Can you say this first, maybe in the second point, in the third point? Or Ronald can send you the remote control in order to make that. So Esteban, can you help me? Okay, anyone who have a good connection can help me with at least one of these.
Me, teacher. Okay, the title is Are Video Games a Good Way to Keep It Fit?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Jenny, can you help me with the second one, please? What do you think is the second one? It says nowadays.
Linking word is in addition, maybe.
Yeah. Who else know maybe an answer of here? Maybe the introduction?
The introduction is nowadays many teenagers have good video, etc., etc., etc.
Okay, about the opinion, maybe. What would be expressed an opinion?
The second paragraph, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the last one will be a conclusion. So let's review. You already done a good work. Thank you so much, guys. And let's start with the second activity. For this activity, I would like that you could help me with a live worksheet where you could help me by placing on it some of the connectors, as for example, although, however, on the other hand, or whereas. Let's just start with you. Could you help me maybe with the answers? Let's read that first, please. So let's start. Who wants to help me?
Me, teacher.
Okay. What do you think that is number one?
Number one is although.
Thank you. And the second one?
However.
Yeah, thank you so much. The third one, maybe?
Whereas.
Yeah, thank you so much. The fourth one?
On the other hand.
Okay. Thank you guys for your participation and also for your attention. It was a good work. Thank you so much.